I'm a very curious person by nature, and so we are when we're kids. And being curious, I observe a lot. And observing, I think a lot. I think because I analyze. And if you take a bit further, I think about ourselves. I think about how we behave, what we do, and why we do that. And lately, I start to think about how we live through whatever we do. About 6 years ago, I was having a business conversation with a partner, and it was very difficult for him to understand what I want from him. So I had a piece of paper in my hand, and I asked him to perform something for me. And now I would like to ask you the same thing. Grab the paper, fold it in two, and tear it for me. This experiment I have been doing for the last 5 years, from Mexico City till Novosibirsk, and to be honest with you, I have done it pretty much around 8,000 people. Now looking around, I'm sure we're over 8,000 people. Do you mind showing me how you tore the paper in two? Has anyone did a bit different than I have done? There you go, one sentence. So, why is this important? Let's talk about the numbers. 8,000 people, it's a fairly big number. If you take into the consideration that a psychological experiment having 1,500 to 2,000 people, it's already a big number. I have done with more than 8,000 people. I haven't noted down every single one of them, therefore, I cannot give you an exact pattern of how do we behave in this case, but I can tell you that 90% of the people have stored the paper exactly as I did, in two. There were 7 to 8% who has done something extremely different, which tore the paper randomly in two. There were about 1 to 1.5% of the people who have been hesitant to perform, but not looking into the eyes. They have followed what they wanted, and there were only like 1 to 0.5% people who stopped, and they asked me, Zoli, how would you like me to tore this paper in two? In the servicing industry, service is paramount, and I work in the servicing industry. If you look at the sheer number of the bars in the world, in 2008 we had around 2 million. Out of these 2 million bars, we decided to open our own place called Boutique Bar. Boutique, it was one of its kind, at least in our head. One of its kind because we knew we're going to do something different here. We knew we're going to be different. But why is that difference? Why we thought we were different? The difference between us and the rest, it's hardly notable. We have a lot of spirits in the bar. We have a lot of own recipes. We have a lot of recipes taken from others. So it doesn't make that big difference. But still, the difference was there. It was so powerful what we did on those 4 years that in 2012, we have been elected in the world's 50 best bar, being one of the best in the 50s. So what happened there? What is our secret, you may wonder? Our secret is very simple. Attention and being in now. Not many of you know, but fairly a lot know already that I've been born in Transylvania. My family moved over to Hungary in 1990 with 2 suitcases. That fact hasn't struck me till I read the first article that I actually wrote down that we moved over. In 1994, I decided to go to university. Being in university, my family didn't have too much money, so I had to work. And I chose to work in the catering industry because I wanted a job with no responsibility and I wanted to be flexible. This thing has moved me forward to Barcelona and to London. I lived and worked in Barcelona and London as well. In these 2 places, they started to unknowingly reform my thinking of the whole catering business. They started to teach me how to sell. Is sales important in our case? Yes. If I would ask you something, let's suppose we grab one of the product of a cocktail, how much does add up in an overall experience, a cocktail in percentage? Anyone? I would say 10%. Yes, a cocktail would add up only 10% in the overall experience that you experience in the bar, restaurant, or whichever place you decide to go. So what is the 90%, I may ask you? The 90% is something that we perform every single day. The 90% is what we put around the product. In our own place, in boutique, we do perform a system that every single person who starts to work with us has to go through. It's nothing new. It has been done before. It has been used by many others. It's called the apprentice system. In our case, everyone who starts to work with us, it has to go through this 1 year, more or less, depends on the qualities of the person. In this 1 year, they have to learn everything about the bar. They're not allowed to talk to customers unless they would say, my colleague would go in a second. What they do throughout this 1 year, they learn the drinks, they learn the spirits, they learn techniques, they learn how to talk, they learn how to behave, and they learn many other things that would add up to the thing that we call 90%. When they start to work with us, we ask one question. Are you prepared to work with us? They say yes. So we offer them a certain amount of money for the effort and their time, and then we ask another question. What is that you would bring into our system? What is that you would give to us? And obviously, everyone is surprised. But they give a lot. Like I said, they give time, they give us their failure, they give us their knowledge, they give us everything, sweat, tears, everything that would incorporate in that 1 year to become a bartender. Now, if you think about this, in this time, throughout the COVID, throughout the pandemic, that's a lot. To put together a team that is, in many cases, fragile, it takes a lot of time. So, you might ask me, are you still with your team? And I would say yes. There was no question whatsoever in our case that we want to have the team together, we want to sacrifice for them, because they have been sacrificing for us, so we want them to be around us. There was out of question that I let anyone go. Throughout this whole time, for us it's still important to grow. For us it's still important to learn. For us it's still important to develop as a professional and as a human as well. I would like to ask you another thing. Do you still have the piece of paper that I gave you before? Do you mind if I ask you to tear it in 2 pieces? Is there any question? Thank you very much. I would like you to remember one thing. No matter what you do, and no matter what you have, the most important thing is how you make others feel. Because that they would remember. And also, if you fold, and if you tear a piece of paper for someone else, make sure that you use all your knowledge and all your experience in order to perform the job well. Thank you very much.